Welcome one and all to Silverstone, the unofficial home of British motor racing, and this weekend it's the home once again for a second time this season to GB4 action. And speaking of GB4 action, last time out the competitors were at Snetterton for a scintillating weekend of brilliant action.
And highlights from the Snetterton weekend in the GB4 Championship. An absolutely fantastic start from Cooper Webster. We almost thought it was a jump start in the race. However, it was absolutely fine, pulling away from Tom Mills and leading the race, looking for his first victory in the GB4 Championship. There were tight battles behind though, as Lucas Blakely did not get a good start from 4th position, and he was dropping back into the clutches of the midfield as well. Kulkarni diving his way around the outside of Harry Burgoyne Jr. into 4th position, as the tussles behind were seeing plenty of drivers battling side by side. There was this moment for Lucas Blakely going in a little bit hot into turn 1, going for a spin and dropping back down the order. As Cooper Webster would cross the line to take victory, it was a tight battle with Tom Mills and Colin Queen behind, coming across in 2nd and 3rd. Ruhan Alva was also in a tight battle with Jeremy Fairbairn on his return into the Graham Brunton Racing squad. Changing over from KMR Sport, it was all about what he could do, trying to represent a different team. A bit of damage to the front end of Ruhan Alva's car as he would come through, also with a bit of debris left onto the circuit. And out of the final corner, it was Tom Mills defending from Colin Queen. It was Cooper Webster taking that victory, and it was his first victory in the championship. On to race 2 of the weekend, and it was once again Cooper Webster starting from pole position, but our eyes were drawn to those stalling behind. Harry Burgoyne Jr. from 4th, Liam McNeely as well from 6th, and Dylan Hotchin from the rear of the field. It was Cooper Webster though, holding on with a fantastic race start, but that wouldn't last too long. He'd come down to the hairpin and was under an awful lot of pressure from Tom Mills. Sid Smith as well, trying to keep those behind the likes of Clifford. Then there was this lock-up. Cooper Webster just in a little bit too deep, locking up the front right, pushing himself straight on, and Tom Mills making his way through into the race lead. Colin Queen not quite able to come through in all of that, as battles below that saw the car of Graham Brunton Racing that's being driven by Jeremy Fairbairn battling it out with a car he was used to driving, Lucas Blakely behind the wheel of the number 88. This was for 4th position, and a tight fight it was indeed. Sid Smith and Liam McNeely joining the rear end of that fight, with McNeely with this fantastic send on his teammate, getting around the outside, going through Brundle and Nelson and up into 5th position. There was this close call for Cooper Webster, who was able to catch that car and then catch up with Tom Mills as well, setting fastest lap after fastest lap in the hunt of the KMR Sport driver. Late in the race, Liam McNeely was applying the pressure to Jeremy Fairbairn, looking for any opportunity to pass. He was waiting for the right opportunity, and eventually it came. He got down the inside into the final corner, Fairbairn out wide, and his teammate would come through as well, Sid Smith getting his way into 5th position, and it was McNeely in 4th. They were behind these three though, Colin Queen in 3rd, and then of course it was Cooper Webster in 2nd, and Tom Mills, the championship leader, taking his another victory. A brilliant drive. Let's see though into race 3 of the weekend. It was Jack Clifford this time starting from pole position, but it was Kulkarni that had a better start. He got the whole shot down to the first corner and was able to take over the race lead. He'd start checking out early doors in the race as he was trying to work his way ahead of the likes of Ruhan Alva and try and pull out a gap. Ruhan Alva was trying to go for a move around the outside of Sid Smith. A bit of a lock-up though coming down into the hairpin. He'd be out wide. The 87 of Fairbairn was able to make his way through after that mistake, and behind all of that there was a little bit of contact as well. Thomas Lee and Dylan Hotchin coming together. It was Hotchin sent round, a rear right puncture and some suspension damage would send him out of the race. Thomas Lee would come into the pit lane, repair the front wing and get straight back out there. Cooper Webster was putting on a masterclass though as to how to make overtakes work around Snetterton. Down the inside of Jeremy Fairbairn on one lap, down the inside of Jack Clifford on another. A fantastic move down into Agostini, and he had 2.6 seconds to close up to the race leader. Not too far down the road, not an impossible task, and it certainly wasn't for Cooper Webster with his pace this weekend. He was able to catch up to Adi Kulkarni. He would try and move around the outside of the first corner, which would lead to the outside of the hairpin as well. Kulkarni in a little bit too deep, and the pair would make just a touch of contact. But then coming down to Brundle and Nelson, there was this send. He'd been so good on the brakes, and Cooper Webster got around the outside of Kulkarni with a fantastic move, looking for his 2nd victory of the weekend for the Evans Grand Prix team. The number 37 was absolutely flying. Cooper Webster loving the Snetterton 300 layout, and as we pass into the second half of the season, he starts to put pressure on the championship leader as he crosses the line as the victor. Kulkarni behind, and just about Tom Mills beating out his teammate Jack Clifford.
Well, it was a fantastic weekend of GB4 action, as we can see there from the Snetterton highlights. Let's talk about some of the major points to take away from that weekend. So, Cooper Webster, a triple podium. He won round 10 and round 12. Let's talk a bit more about that rising talent.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we know Cooper Webster's been fast all year. Tom Mills has taken the majority of the victories and podiums, but Cooper was having excellent pace. He was right up there with Tom Mills and, of course, taking 2 wins and a 3rd podium. The pace he had in that final race was electric, and I think he's really coming into his stride. Of course, Evans GP are a new team to the championship this year, so potentially they're finding their way as well. But yeah, really impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this weekend's going to play out, because I think it could be interesting to see how the season continues.
Absolutely, and you mentioned Tom Mills there as well. He's got a fantastic talent of his own, and he's been able to show that each weekend, getting on the podium, getting those race wins as well. He got one last time out. He got 1 race win in round 11. Do you think Cooper Webster is the one to really bring it to him in this championship now, and can we see it out there on the track in Silverstone?
Oh, it's going to be tight. We know that Tom Mills was really fast last time we were here, just a few weeks or a couple of months ago, and it looks like in testing he's been right up there as well. Definitely the driver setting the pace, so I expect Tom Mills to be fast once again. But Cooper and the rest of the field, of course, we know Colin Queen has been very, very fast at different points of the year, as well as the other 4 Tech drivers. I mean, Adi Kulkarni had a good weekend at Snetterton as well.
Absolutely, we're going to talk about Kulkarni now. I just love Piers. He's throwing into all of my links at the moment. This is brilliant. Ali Kulkarni had a fantastic race weekend. Unfortunately, couldn't get the win, but he was pulling off some fantastic overtakes. He had the pace in every single round of racing. I reckon he can probably have the pace here this weekend to be right up there at the forefront once more. And you're telling me you saw him at a karting track of all places?
Yeah, we know, of course, Adi drives for 4 Tech, and we know Colin Queen's been fast at the start of the year. Kulkarni and Alva have just lacked a little bit of pace, but Kulkarni especially had a really strong round, his strongest round at Snetterton last time. And you mentioned, I saw him, he was racing at the Shennington kart circuit Super Prix. I think it was an X30, and he had a good weekend racing there. So keeping his toe in different parts of motorsport and just getting out on circuit, and hopefully that extra bit of racing experience will be able to he'll be able to show that extra experience this weekend on circuit. But obviously very different places. This is not a Shennington kart circuit. We're at the home of the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, but even at F1 level, we talk a lot, and we see it a lot in commentary as well. The likes of Lando Norris, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, still using that karting experience to defend their positions, even at the peak of motorsport. I'm sure we're going to see that again this weekend, and perhaps maybe that could be an advantage for Kulkarni.
Yeah, I don't know how much karting the other drivers are doing. I just happened to be at Shennington with some other friends, but definitely karting is where all of these, or almost all of these drivers in GB4, GB3, and all the way up the single-seater ladder, they get sort of build their craft, find their skills, hone them before they move into cars. And the racing in karting is just so close, and you learn all of that. And to be honest, the racing is closer than it is in cars generally, because you don't have to worry about dirty air. You can run a little closer, and the odd bit of contact here and there isn't generally so catastrophic. As you can see, the cars are lined up on the grid, ready for their formation lap. This is the first GB4 race of the weekend. My name is Piers Pryor. I will be commentating on this race. Alongside us, we have last year's GB4 Championship contender, Max Maserati. Max, great to have you in the comms box. We had to crash out of that interview ever so slightly soon because the cars went to the circuit a little bit early, but Max, you're going to have a unique perspective on commentating this race because, of course, you were here just a year ago.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite circuits. We took basically a double pole here, and we got 2 fastest laps and 2 great podium. So brilliant track.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant track, of course. Home to the British Grand Prix. Only a couple of weeks ago, I was here watching from this, almost exactly this shot, actually. I was in the Brooklands grandstand, and it's great to see these GB4 cars smash around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, because it really is the lineage, GB4, hopefully then GB3, Formula 3, Formula 2, and and then eventually Formula One. And I'm sure in the next few years we'll see some drivers from this very championship making their way all the way to the top of motorsport. It's been a very close qualifying session. Of course, Tom Mills came out on top, and I'll run you through the grid in just a few moments' time, but here we are with the grid. So Tom Mills, our championship leader, on pole position for KMR Sport. Colin Queen, second once again for Fortec Motorsports. The second row, we have Liam McNeely for Fox Motorsports, and in fourth place on the outside of the front, the second row is Cooper Webster. Of course, Cooper having a very strong round last time out at Snetterton. Next we have Jack Clifford for KMR Sport in fifth place. He'll be happy with that. Sixth, Ruhan Alba for Fortec Motorsport. Then seventh, Adi Kulkarni for Fortec Motorsports, and then eighth, Harry Burgoyne. I know, Max, you've been working with Harry Burgoyne this year as well, so hopefully we'll see him come through the field. Ninth, a new driver to the grid, Zach Ping, part of the VRD racing team. And then 10th, Sid Smith for Fox Motorsports. Eric Evans, the second VRD driver, is in 11th, and then Thomas Lee rounds out the grid in 12th place for Evans GP. Dylan Hodgson in 13th place for Dylan Hodgson Racing. So yes, Max, good to see a couple of new drivers and a new team on the grid. The new team, VRD Racing, of course, they have a couple of American drivers. They're an American team. They have a bit of a good relationship with Arden VRD Racing GB3, but I'm sure those guys will sort of find their feet as the weekend goes on.
Yeah, I think I spotted them going on new tyres as well, so it's like they've gone for a banking for the rain tomorrow. I think the Fox cars have as well, but apart from that, I think everyone else has gone for a fairly standard strategy around here.
Yep, of course, a reminder of the tyre allocation for the weekend, 6 tyres in total, so a set and a half. All drivers will take 4 new tyres for qualifying, and then they have basically 2 new tyres, which they'll probably put on the left-hand side, this being a clockwise circuit, at some point in the 3 races. Of course, you want to make the most of those new tyres. That's normally in race 1 or race 2, but those drivers at the back of the field might save them for race 3. But of course, as you mentioned, Max, if there is any changeable weather conditions, then if you run the wet tyres, then you don't have to then use your new, you've got 1 race less on your slick tyres. So that is potentially why the Fox Motorsport cars have taken 2 new left-hand side tyres, as well as you mentioned the VRD drivers. So Liam McNeely on the second row, 2 left-hand side new tyres, Sid Smith, and then of course Eric Evans, and also Zach Ping, the brother of Noah Ping, who's a GB3 driver as well, I believe. So, yeah. Anyway, Max, pole position, Tom Mills. He's looked very, very strong. He is our championship leader, as we know. He's had a lot of wins this year. I reckon he's the favourite for the victory. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I think his pace all weekend again has been superb. But I think what's really great is the battle kind of just beyond that pack. Everyone's really, really close. I think that that it's going to be extremely exciting to see who comes out in that mid-pack battle. And
let's talk a little bit about qualifying as they come up to the grid. It was Tom Mills on pole, but only a 10th behind was Colin Queen, so not far off. And then only 2.5 tenths off the lead was Liam McNeely. A bit of a gap back to Cooper Webster in 4th place, but those front 3, I'm looking forward to a nice tight battle. We saw last year. This circuit is definitely one we can overtake at. Max, you led a race here. You've also had podiums here. You also have overtaken and been overtaken here. You know that slipstream is very important. We'll chat more about that as the race goes on, and we're sure we'll see some examples of that as we see the gate closing on the grid. The green flag at the back of the field will fly any second now. There it is. So the lights will come on after the 5-second boards. The revs rise as we get ready for the start of the first GB4 race of the weekend. Of course, the start's so important for the rest of the race. Lights on. And away we go. GB4 race number 1 is underway. Looks like a good start from Sid Smith in the background. Tom Mills being challenged by Colin Queen. Mills going outside. Colin Queen has taken the lead into turn 1, and we see the 2 Fortec cars of Alva and Kulkarni going side by side. Kulkarni going wide on the exit of Copse. He should be able to hold that position around the outside. Now we head down through side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. That is somewhere you don't often see a lot of side by side action. Tom Mills going for the lead side by side. He gets the lead back, and that's going to allow Cooper Webster, who's jumped ahead of McNeely, to get alongside Queen as well.
Yeah, Cooper's going to have the best run here. That was a bit of a very risky move for Mills, but Cooper needs to get back into the tow. I mean, McNeely's had the best run out of all of them, it seems.
Yeah, McNeely, because he's taken advantage of that. He's now going 3 wide up the inside of both of them. McNeely goes from 4th to 2nd in 1 corner as they're fighting further down the field, which we'll pick up on in a moment. But Liam McNeely with a great exit out of Chapel, which gave him the position. Now he's having to defend from Queen. All of this is allowing Tom Mills to skate away. Ruhan Alva now defending also from Sid Smith, as we see the VRD drivers there, Ping and Evans fighting with your your driver, Harry Burgoyne, who's got the switch back out of club. Good move there from Harry.
Yeah, he was very smart there. He actually did the both of them into the run to Stowe, so he actually did a double overtake, but now he's managed to get ahead and he's defending very well into Abbey.
We're now looking at the battle between Cooper Webster and Jack Clifford. They're both in very similar liveries. The blue fronted car is Cooper Webster, and the slightly more black fronted car of KMR Sport with the black helmet is Jack Clifford. Jack had a good qualifying, one of his better qualifyings of the season. I know he's been working hard away from the circuit, not quite getting that move done this time, as we see the two Fortec teammates of Kulkarni and Alva side by side once again. Kulkarni is in the blue flashes, Alva in the green flashes, but Sid Smith is right behind those two looking to pick up some pieces.
Yeah, and this battling is letting everyone close up behind. They've got to be careful because they say, like, you know, we've just seen Harry do those overtakes and now he's right on the back of the next pack again. And look, everyone's so close. It's about getting that fresh air onto your wings so you can try and do something ahead. Looks like, I think Kulkarni, the one behind, almost dropped a wheel there, and now that's going to allow Sid Smith and Harry to have a good run on him.
Yeah, it is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in a train there with Dylan Hodgson not too far off the back of that as well, so he'll be looking to get involved in this if the fighting continues. Sid Smith third in the queue. We're just looking at the red and white car. That is, of course, the GBR car of Harry Burgoyne Jr. He is your driver, Max. We've mentioned that before. And those VRD cars, they're looking pretty racy, which is great to see, considering that's their first time, or this is their first time racing in this GB4 Championship in a country that is not their home place.
No, exactly. It's first time over, and they've got those new tyres, so they're going to be pushing like mad in these early stages to try and make the most of them.
Here we go. That is the number 14 there. 14 of Eric Evans. He's the one that is at the front, or going around the outside of Harry Burgoyne Jr. Can he hang it all the way around the outside? Max, we chatted about this on the track walk. He's left the circuit. I don't think he'll be able to keep that position if he manages to stay ahead.
No, he won't. If he gets this now, I think he'll have to give that off. There'll be a post-race penalty applied because you can't pass. The end of the track limits has been discussed is you have to have the outside wheel still on the black and white, and it was quite clear that all four wheels were off the circuit.
It doesn't matter though, because Harry Burgoyne managed to get the cutback like he did a lap ago, and there's a little bit of contact going down that Hamilton straight in front of the wing, which is where the Formula One has the start-finish straight. Well, of course, we start on the old pit straight as we now head into Village and the Loop.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah, a bit of a lock up there, which also getting very close to the back. You can see Burgoyne going defensive into the loop, but that's going to leave him vulnerable on the exits. A long, long run through Aintree and down the Wellington straight. A very long straight down here, Max, and already that looks like Evans is looking up the inside. It's Burgoyne putting the two wheels on the grass, giving the big squeeze, and right behind as well, that is Ping looking to get involved too, as we see a lock up from Alva in the foreground.
Yeah, they're all battling so hard. This is really, really good racing between everyone.
Yeah, it's really, really close. So far, only a tiny amount of contact, but everyone continuing on. But it just looks like the new left-hand side tyres of those two VRD cars are allowing them to a bit more pace, which has allowed them to get past and pull away ever so slightly on Harry Burgoyne Jr. But just catching the front of the field there, Tom Mills at the front of the field, setting the fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly, pulling out the gap to 1.5 seconds ahead of McNeely. McNeely's in second, Queen in third, Webster fourth, Clifford fifth, Alva sixth, Kulkarni seventh, Smith eighth, ninth is Evans, and 10th is Ping, as we saw them get ahead of Burgoyne in 11th.
Yeah, this is really good GB4 racing again. The toe effect showing how strong it is. You know, how they get pulled up to each other. Yeah,
you can see the toe, and again, there's lots of long straights and long corners at this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. A very long circuit, but this hangar straight, especially in these GB4 cars, which are not the most powerful in the world. I think it's about 160 horsepower, something like that. The straights probably feel pretty long, don't they, Max? And a long time to sit in the toe and gain an advantage.
They do, and they're never long enough at the same time.
Yeah, that's always the way. Always the way, Max. Yeah, it's... As the racing continues, I think potentially those VRD cars might fade, their pace might fade a little bit as the race goes on and the tyres become a little bit more used, and Burgoyne using all of the road on the exit. We're continuing to look at this battle for the last places in the top 10. So Evans 9th in the number 14 in the front of shot. Then we have Ping in 10th and 97, and then Burgoyne in the white and red car in 11th. It's a close battle, and I think it's going to continue on. A few mistakes here and there, seeing a few lockups. We saw a lockup from Burgoyne into this corner last time out, and now it looks like the 97 of Ping is looking up the inside of his teammate. No, not this time. Can he get a good exit as Evans gets a little bit wide? Look at that, right under the rear wing. Potentially an opportunity for a move here.
Definitely. He's got to set this up so that on the white line, he's going to have to move to the outside. If he gets his front wheels ahead in the braking, it's possible to complete this move.
Yeah, looking around the outside. You can go inside or outside around Brooklands. Trying to hang around the outside. No, says Evans. Evans shows him the white line. Runs wide in the middle of Luffield, but that's normally the racing line because you cut back for the exit to get a good run through Woodcote and over the start-finish straight. This battle is going to continue on, so we'll continue to watch it for now as the gap extends even further out the front of the field. 2.2 seconds is Mills ahead of McNeely at the moment, but that gap for second and third is coming together, so we'll look at that in a moment. But while we're looking at this battle, we continue on as it looks like Burgoyne's had a great exit out of Copse. Side by side into Magnus and Beckett, so we're now cutting back to the battle between second and third, which is McNeely and Queen, as Queen runs wide through Chapel. That's not going to help his exit onto the Hanger Straight.
No, I mean, to get a toe, you've basically got to be punching. The hole gets punched, but you have to match their speed before you gain. So something like that means you're not going to then get the toe effect down the straight. Yeah,
we've seen many times in GB3 and GB4 that corner exits are so important in racing. We saw last year, I remember off the top of my head in the GB3 Championship, Callum Voisin making a lot of places up at Brands Hatch GP, and I asked him, how did you do it? Because normally a circuit you can't overtake, and he said just concentrate on your exits, and it looks like, I mean, we've seen Burgoyne Jr. twice at this corner get the cutback and the exit of Club and manage to hold the position because of a good exit. But this group here is still pretty close. Second, third, fourth and fifth. That is McNeely, Queen, Webster and Clifford in that order. Queen was applying the pressure at the beginning of this lap, but you can see how a small mistake can just drop you out of the toe, and that can mean it's quite hard to then make a manoeuvre in the next few corners.
Yeah, that's the big problem. Once you start battling and that group breaks away, you know, we've kind of seen everyone's now stagnated in their groups. It's because it's so hard to recatch the toe once you've lost it.
Yeah, exactly. The toe, what do you reckon the toe is around here, Max? About half a second, 6/10 of a second behind, maybe five or six car lengths?
I think it's a bit more than, yeah, 5 or 6 car lengths. I think you could be, you know, not more than a corner, but a corner or so behind, and you'll still be getting some gain from it, even if it's a small one that's like only really seeable on data.
But it's an exponential gain the closer and closer you get. But it's not all gain, is it? Because the closer you get, not only do you go faster in the straights, you also lose air on the front wing. And when we say lose air on the front wing, of course, we don't actually lose air. Air is still there. But the air off the back of these cars is turbulent, and that hurts the front grip, doesn't it, Max? As Tom Mills sets the fast lap of the race once again.
Yeah, massively. Not only does it, like, it actually really damages the tyres. You know, it gives them really bad front graining, which makes understeer worse. It's like a problem that keeps getting worse and worse, and why it's more crucial to then try and get ahead of the car that's in front of you.
Which is why Tom Mills at the front of the field is able to just keep romping away. I mean, we know he's got the best pace. He qualified on pole. He's pulling away now. Set the fast lap of the race by almost 6/10, I think, on that last lap. No, 5.5 tenths. So clearly got some great speed. We're looking at him now. It's great to get him some airtime as well, because if you check out, sometimes you can feel a bit hard done by with the coverage. But you know, it's great to see a driver and car in such harmony. I think that really goes to show the experience he's gained from having a second year in the car is really valuable to him.
Yeah, I agree, because I remember last year this was a little bit of like a bogey track for him. You know, he was very strong at places like Snetterton, Brands, but this one not so much. And you see, coming to a second year, here he is, and you know, it's dominant. Yeah, it is dominant so far. Of course, only the first race of the weekend. We've still got 2 more to come, one tomorrow morning and one tomorrow afternoon. Of course, the one in the afternoon is a reverse grid race, but I also noticed Queen chasing hard onto the back of McNeely, or trying to, made another mistake out of the exit of, a big wobble on the way into the village as well. So he's clearly pushing hard because he made a mistake on the exit of Club, just dropping 2 wheels over the edge of the curb. The car bottomed out ever so slightly, and that is allowing him to fall back slightly into the clutches of Webster. And we know that Webster has got some good pace in the Evans GP car. He had a very, very strong round last time out at Snetterton. Yeah, the problem is with like all these sort of big movements we're kind of seeing from Queen's car, although it looks spectacular, it's going to be slowing you down, but it's also going to be eating your tyres. Yeah. And as the race goes on, it's going to get worse and worse. It's going to be dropping back into Webster. Yeah, exactly. It looks like Queen had good pace at the middle of the race and maybe struggling now. That could be tyre pressures, Max? Could be. It could be tyre pressures, you know, depending on how teams have decided to go. It could also be that he's just pushing as hard as he can to stick and maybe try and make a move on McNeely, and it's just causing mistakes. Especially how close the field is, and you know, when these drivers that in qualifying, I mean, as I said, 2.5 tenths between McNeely in third and Tom Mills in first is so close. I mean, Tom Mills seems to have some good pace at this one, but in qualifying it was pretty close. It's just so hard to get, you know, maybe move forward in the race if it's so close, isn't it? And you're almost relying on the driver ahead to make a mistake. Yeah, You are. When it, I'd say the beauty of the GB4 Championship is that it does give you, the toe effect is stronger than the dirty air, so that you do have that chance. And Silverstone, every corner is an opportunity to set up a move or to go for an overtake.
Yeah, and you mentioned... Oh, sorry, Max, go on, carry on.
Yeah, but it's still, when the grid is so competitive and, the times are so close between each other, it's so hard to find that. And look, Burgoyne's managed to get past both of the Ardens now.
Yeah, the Ardens clearly, also the VRD team, the VRD Racing, clearly either had to not coming together, maybe they're racing themselves. We saw that, Burgoyne's got back past both of them out of shot, but clearly those new tyres on both the VRD cars just falling away ever so slightly, and Burgoyne with a good move, it looked like on the exit of Copse and into Vale, holding off the attack of the number 14, which is, of course, Evans.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't catch the start of that, because it looked like a great move into a great battle, and he's already starting to pull away. So again, how we spoke about tyre pressures,
yes,
maybe that's what we're seeing here a little bit with the VRDs. But Harry's done well to keep his head, get past both VRDs, and look at the gap he's pulling already. Yeah,
he's had a good middle sector there. But Max, we've spoken about tyre pressures. You and I both know exactly what the tyre pressures do. But for the benefit of the people at home that might have only ever done the tyre pressures on their bike, what does changing the tyre pressures actually do to affect the car, the way it feels, and also how it evolves through a race?
Well, with it basically, you kind of set it up like, where do you want your pace to come in like a simple turn. So do you want to go...
Where are you going to be fastest in the race, at the start or the end?
Exactly, yeah. And, it's something that a lot of the kids practice through karting, where, they'll always spend a day where they'll probably sit there with a tyre pressure gauge, and they'll just go lower and lower and lower and lower, so the kid can get used to that feel of, like, how quick does it, how quick can I get a tyre to come in? And, on basis, normally you want it to be lower, which means it will come in later, and then you work the tyres harder on an earlier lap, on an out lap, to kind of bring them in, because you want to be strong in that middle to the end part of the race.
Yes.
But
you don't want to be too slow at the start, though.
Exactly.
It's so easy to hemorrhage places, and then getting those places back costs you time in the race. It's a bit of a balancing act.
Well, as well, what we used to do last year was that we'd always put, for the last race especially, the tyre pressure a little bit higher, especially around here, I remember, just to give us that, like, knowing that, okay, first couple laps are going to be the hardest, because that's when you're going to have all the, surrounded by the quick guys to get through. And then in the last part of the race, we know we're going to defend.
Yes.
So, it's a strategy thing as well, because if you think, I can go hard at the start, I can get past people, and then I'm going to rely on myself to basically be defending, it's a different thing to going, okay, I'm going to take it nice at the start, but I know that at the end I'm going to have to push like hell to try and get past people.
Bit of a confidence thing as well, I'm sure, because if you're going to be quick at the start of the race, you might be more encouraged to push on. But let's concentrate on this battle, because this has definitely come down. This is second and third. McNeely in sort of the white, blue and orange car, and then the white and red car of Queen in third place. Has definitely closed that up, clearly just minding his... managed to put a couple of clean laps together. And let's look at their last lap times, almost identical actually, but this lap from Queen has been a bit faster, a 10th faster in sector 1, nearly a 10th faster in sector 2, and he's going to have the benefit of the toe now, as he's definitely within about 3, or probably about half a second, maybe 6/10, and down this straight here over the start finish line through Woodcote, then down towards Maggots and Beckett's. He'll lose a little bit of front end through Maggots and Beckett's, but then have the toe down the hanger straight. I'm sure this will come together, and Cooper Woods are just dropping off the back. He'll be trying to Gary maybe get involved in that battle if they start slowing themselves down. Looking at Manili, he started in third, he's now in second, and he's trying to keep that position. It will be a good result for him. We know that Fox Motorsport car of Manili also has 2 new left-hand side tyres, so potentially that little bit of tyre advantage he had over Queen just falling away as they become a bit more used.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, I think what Queen's done well is we've seen him calm down now. He was like making mistakes when he was behind, but look, there's no mistakes now. He's so smooth. Look at it, just very smooth, gliding through the corner, sucking himself up to the back of McNeely, and then he's going to be able to engage, but he has to keep this consistency, keep this pace, find some clean air. Yeah,
really nice little graphic at the bottom of the screen there. Second place McNeely on a 201.8, 201.7 from Queen in third, and Webster 202.1. That's why that's coming together as the 2 VRD racing cars side by side. That is the number 97 of Zach Ping going around the outside of Evans. They're still fighting on the way down to Club the Vale, as they're going to go side by side through Vale. It looks like the 40, is that the 14? I can't quite get the number, I think it is. No, that's the 97. That is Ping, who's managed to get through around the outside of Copse and then holding it through Club and Vale, but they're not done yet. It looks like the 14 there, Evans trying around the inside, trying the outside. fighting is hard here. They are nose to tail, side to side. It looks like actually there's a bit of damage on the front left wing of the number 14 of Evans, so he's going to lose a little bit of front downforce, but it's not hurting his pace too much. Wow, there mustn't be more than a foot between them. Up the inside of the loop, backing out of it at the last moment. That'll hurt his exit. But Ping trying to stay out of the way on the exit because they don't want contact. There's clearly been some contact at some point between these two. They're racing hard. A new team to the championship, 2 American drivers. So they are learning the circuit, learning the championship, learning the car, all while racing at wheel to wheel and doing a great job of not only enjoying the circuit, but also getting some great racing experience under their belts.
It's like Verstappen and Hamilton, the way they're going at each other.
It really is, but this is great experience for them. That's probably why they've come over to the UK. You know, in America, there's a lot of championships and a lot of drivers that will come over to Europe because it's widely regarded that, you know, the European single-seater racing and karting as well is probably some of the best in the world, and those drivers that want to get somewhere in their career, they want to race against the best, they want to be in the best championships, get as much experience as possible. And you can see, look at the lap times between them, only a couple of tenths separating them. The last 2, Evans was, or the lap 5 and 6, Evans was slower, but then the last lap 7, Evans was faster, so nothing to separate them. So clearly those 2 cars probably set up very similarly, and the drivers are driving similarly. Oh, there's a big wobble from Ping there as going through the middle of Beckett's.
I mean, it's been great to watch. They've really put on a show, but look at Queen right on the back here.
Yes.
He didn't want to risk one going up the inside there. I think that's quite smart. You know, like, got to pick your moment correctly.
It's the closest he's probably been. It didn't get quite a good exit, clearly on the late on the brakes into Vale, but he'll have the slipstream down the Hamilton straight, right through Abbey, left through Farm into Village. Is this going to be the point at which Colin Queen can try and mount a attack for second position? Not quite close enough this time, I don't reckon, but it looks like Queen is really, really strong. Sort of the exit of Maggots and Beckett's down the hanger straight and through Stowe, but then McNeely with that extra left-hand tyre grip with those new tyres, a bit faster on the exit of Club. And onto the Hamilton straight, and he's just far enough ahead now that he's not going to have to defend into Brooklands.
Yeah, but I think this is the last lap, so maybe actually when we're saying that was a clever thing to do, that might have been his only opportunity. I don't think he's close enough here. I think this could be it unless he gets a really, really good run out of Copse.
Yes, he's going to have to try and get a good exit out of Luffield. This is, of course, Brooklands into Luffield. You run wide in the middle of Luffield and then cut back for a good exit. Tom Mills actually is almost falling back towards them a little bit. Let's have a look at their last laps. No, very similar, so actually the gap's just maintaining. But that is a checkered flag. Tom Mills takes victory in race number 1 here at Silverstone. For the second time this year, we are racing at Silverstone, but a great victory. 2.5 seconds ahead of McNeely and Queen, not quite close enough to mount an attack on what was that final lap. Webster in 4th place, just not able to keep with Queen there, but he'll be happy with another solid top 5. Jack Clifford will be very happy for KMR Sport in 5th place there as well. And we also saw some great racing throughout the field, of course, Burgoyne, Ping and Evans earlier on in the race. We saw also some great racing between the 2 Fortec cars of Alva and Kulkarni early on, but then the race kind of settled down in the middle. And that is a confirmation that Tom Mills set the best time of a 2:01.399, which was the fastest lap of the race as well. So a dominant victory, pole position, led every lap, even though he didn't lead the first couple of corners. He actually had to work quite hard in the first section. That was a race-defining overtake in through Maggots and Beckett's from Tom Mills. I think he wanted to get that done because he knew he had the pace, because if he got held up behind Queen for much longer, it could have been a very different race.
It could have been. It was very, very aggressive. Maybe Mills knew that his tyre pressures were going to be at the start, and that's why he went that aggressive. I thought they got quite lucky that, like, Webster, I thought, was going to be able to tow up past them both there, because we saw similar things last year when people were battling there.
Yeah, exactly. It was good tactical racing from a lot of the drivers out there. Tom Mills ultimately taking the win. Let's have a look at the provisional results as they stand right now. Of course, we mentioned Tom Mills took the victory by 2.7 seconds ahead of Liam McNeely for Fox Motorsport. Then Colin Queen in 3rd place for Fortec Motorsports. 4th, Cooper Webster for Evans GP. 5th, Jack Clifford, a great result for him for KMR Sport. 6th place, Ruhan Alva, ahead of his teammate Aditya Kulkarni in 7th. Then Sid Smith for Fox Motorsport in 8th place, closely followed by Harry Burgoyne Jr. after a good battle with the 2 VRD cars of Ping in 10th and then Evans in 11th. You can see at the bottom of the screen, fastest lap is confirmed for Tom Mills. Then 11th place was Evans. 12th was Hotchin for Dylan Hotchin Racing, and then rounding out the field in 13th place was Thomas Lee for Evans GP. A great start to the weekend, good drama at the start. Tom Mills wins once again, extends his championship lead, and those are the cars coming to the grid Max, a great way to start the weekend. We're going to be back tomorrow for another, or rather, race. Of course, that will be the grid for that race will be set by the second fastest times from qualifying. So not on exactly the same grid, but we're looking fairly similar. If Tom Mills keeps the pace that he's showing like that, I can't see anyone else taking a race victory this weekend.
It's going to be tough, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, race 3 reverse grid race, I don't think he had such an advantage that, like, I mean, that will just depend on the start, really. But you know, it's such a great circuit. So,
and you can see that what I mean to him there, and his mechanic, big fist pump from him, and a big high five for his team. Liam McNeely will be very happy with second place there, moved up from third place. And then, of course, Colin Queen, potentially a little bit disappointed, moving slightly down, only one position, but he had great pace. He had a great start. He looked racy, but then a few mistakes in the middle, potentially hampering his chances of second place. But I don't think he was going to catch Tom Mills regardless. Tom Mills, we mentioned, second-year driver, going up, hugging his team. Is that his sister, I think? Yes, it is. Emily Mills' sister, who works for KMR Sport as well. And Jared Boberski, of course, they were teammates last year in the same team in the same car. Good to see Jared, of course, racing in GB3, coming to support his previous teammate. And there's Colin Queen, who is third place. Again, you can see the visible difference in emotions, getting a pat on the back or a pat on the chest from team manager Ollie Dutton. And I'm sure he'll be happy with the podium, but he'll want to be going at least one better in tomorrow morning's race. Yeah,
and I think they can do it. You know, like, everyone's going to go back now. Everyone's going to be finding time. Everyone's going to be on the date, on the onboards. You know, that's the beauty of, like, competition. You know, it's that constant grind. Yeah, work to be done overnight, and they will be working hard for even more pace tomorrow. But I think we've got James is going to grab a word with our race winner, Tom Mills. Down to you, James.
Tom, you've just won race 1 of the weekend here at Silverstone. You can add your name to a very strong accolade of people who have actually won this prestigious circuit. How does it feel?
Yeah, it was another great race. That's my second win here at Silverstone, and yeah, it's so hard on the tyres. So once I got a gap, I was basically just trying to save the tyres as much as I can, try not to do track limits. And when I saw the black and white flags coming up for other people, I was like, I better be extra careful. So yeah, I could have pushed ahead if I was under pressure, but no, I just tried to make no mistakes and bring it home.
When you pulled off the move through Magnussen Beckett's, did you have that championship lead on your mind? Because with this win, you have extended that.
Yeah, and the championship lead was on my mind, so that's why I almost didn't go for it. But because I'm fighting Cooper, I was like, faster, I could probably get him later in the race. But the opportunity just presented itself, and I just placed the car right, and yeah, Colin gave me room, and yeah, I managed to get the lead early on.
Is this just the start of proceedings for you this weekend? Do you plan for more wins?
I'm hoping to do the same in the next race, just hopefully with a better start.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations to yourself. We're now going to find second place Liam McNeely, second in race 1 for this weekend for GB4. You must be happy with that result to get a podium.
Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, Colin was really fast, so yeah, I mean, it was just about, you know, keeping him behind and managing the gap, and yeah, good race.
It was a great race for itself. We were saying in qualifying, the top 6 separated by less than a second, and out there on the track there wasn't much to separate you guys. What's going to be key for you to go from this silver position right now into first place for the remainder of the weekend?
I think just getting a good Beckett's on the first lap, and then anything can happen in the slipstream down to Stowe. So I mean, we was a little bit far back compared to Colin behind, so yeah, I mean, if we had a better Beckett's, could have maybe challenged him, but yeah, good race.
Well, congratulations once again. Go enjoy those podium celebrations. We're going to go to the other side now because Colin Queen, he's trying to run away from me now as well, actually, Colin. Colin, why are you avoiding me? Why are you running away from me? Don't run away from me, Colin. We want to talk about your fantastic podium. Third in the first race of this weekend, GB4 action. How do you feel?
Yeah, we had great pace the entire time. It's just I got a better start than Tom, and you know, sent it a bit too much around the outside of Maggots, but I kind of had to, and you know, it was foot to the floor, no backing out, and you know, it cost me a bit, but you know, that's what you have to do sometimes.
You seem a little bit disappointed in yourself. Do you feel like there was more from this car to give? I mean, you should still be really proud of a third place.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely glad with our placing, you know, just getting there where we were on the first lap. But yeah, I mean, if I had another lap, I think I would have had a shot getting past Liam. But you know, we live and we learn. So yeah, on to tomorrow, same place starting. Hopefully we can get the best start possible.
Well, congratulations once again. Go enjoy those podium celebrations. And we're going to go back up to our wonderful Piers Pryor and Max Maserati in commentary, who are going to take us through the results of this race.
Yeah, great to hear from the drivers right out of the cars. It's always good to hear their instant reaction. Tom Mills wants to do the same again tomorrow. He was pushed hard at the start by Colin Queen, as we heard Colin saying he had a good start, but then couldn't quite make a way through. It was a good race from Liam McNeely as well, getting a double overtake on that one down the Hanger Straight, and that ultimately took him to second place. But it's good to see they're going to have their trophy presentation on the podium. Max, you're familiar with this podium. What is it like standing on the podium here at Silverstone?
It's one of the best podiums on the calendar. It's
pretty cool, right?
It's so cool because it's raised up and it's above the cars, you know, and you're standing up there with the champagne and you see the team, and it's just a real special thing, you know. Like, I think it's the old F1 podium, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think it is.
So you know, you're sharing those kind of like. You're standing on there where people like Vettel would have stood. It's fantastic. And
looking down at the team, everyone clapping you on. Of course, the team, you can see just to the left is shot. Well, there's people in the shot, but to the left, there's lots of people hanging around and getting to spray champagne and over them as well. Try not to get too much on the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, here we go. So there is Colin Queen taking third place, getting his trophy off Jack Cavill, and he'll be very happy with that, adding to the collection of trophies he's had this year. We'll shortly, coming into shot, we'll be having the second place driver, which is Liam McNeely for Fox Motorsports. There he is in the orange, blue and white suit, which matches his car. Jack Cavill, again, presenting the second place trophy. And then, of course, our overall winner in race number 1, fastest lap, pole position, only didn't lead one corner. Tom Mills, handshakes all round. Jack Cavill, again, presenting him the first place trophy. He's got a lot of those this year. And then posing for some photos, adding to the archives, and hopefully they'll be looking for the same thing once again. Max, they're going to have some track interviews now. It's now reset, isn't it, for tomorrow? They'll take the cars back. They'll be in park firming for a while, but then it's pretty much as soon as you get back to the truck, it'll be thinking ahead to tomorrow, right?
Yeah, exactly. For everyone, including Mills, you know, like you've got to go back and you've got to look and see what's happening. Like everyone can improve. And you've got to look within yourself to see, okay, where can I? You know, for Mills, how am I going to keep this advantage?
Exactly, keep the advantage. He does have an advantage. And there is a few changes you can make to the car and the way you drive overnight. It's not like you're in Parc Fermé all night. But I think we've got an opportunity to go down to speak to some of the other drivers who didn't finish on the podium with James.
Thank you very much, Piers. Yes, I'm down here in the paddock with Cooper Webster, a man who's used to winning, I should say, compared to the last round. But you find yourself in 4th at the end of this race. But you're still feeling positive. You've still got that motivation ready to go into Sunday now, because that's one heck of a positive result.
Yeah, still 4th is still all right. You know, we were hoping for a slightly better, but just didn't have the pace so far this weekend, and it's been a real struggle to fight and move forward, especially in that race. I just feel like I couldn't really do a whole lot, but yeah, I did my best and still had fun out there.
Well, talk me through what was going through your mind when you were making some of those moves, because you put in some fantastic overtakes to all of a sudden find yourself right up into second at one point. You were right on the tail of Mills for a lot of that opening lap as well. Talk me through what was going through your mind.
Yeah, I know it was a good start. I got up to 3rd and then up to the back straight. I was into 2nd and had the toe off Tom, but you know the straight was too long, and then the Collins started coming back. And then I had another car on the right side of me, so I kind of had to back out by the end of the straight because they were both ahead of me. But yeah, for a minute I thought, you know, I was really on there, but still the outright pace in the car, you know, probably wouldn't have kept us there for the rest of the race.
So what's your biggest takeaway from this race now going into the rest of the weekend?
Probably that we need to improve a lot. Yeah, I mean, it definitely running in a race, you notice the areas that your car's weak because you follow other drivers, where in practice it's a bit hard to do that. So we'll definitely try to learn from that and try to rebuild the car for tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations on finishing as high as you did. That's still a great race. We'll see you again later on this week. And I'm going to bring in now Mr. Burgoyne, hiding away in the corner. Don't hide like that, but let's bring you in on camera. How was that race for you? Talk me through it personally. What's been going through your head during that one?
Well, at the start I didn't get the best of starts, but as I went on, I started to progress, started having a couple battles, managed to get in front of that battle, and then just tried to push on to catch Sid Smith.
And what are you going to take away from this race that we just had into the remainder of the weekend? Obviously, there's still lots of time for everyone to improve on their results, but particularly for you, what are you going to look to improve going into the next one?
I think just me in general, getting better starts, being a bit tougher at times with other cars about me, but yeah.
It's a tough place to actually start though, because it's such a very fast first corner for you guys when you're going into there. Does it almost cross your mind that there are other cars around you, or are you just so focused on trying to get through there as fast as possible?
Well, there is other cars about you have to remember, so you need to be cautious about them, but yeah, just into that first corner is very fast.
Well, I'll let you go. Congratulations once again on another fantastic weekend of racing. I'm going to bring Piers in as well to join me.
Yeah, we've got Sid Smith here as well. We might as well grab a word with Sid.
Oh, come on, Sid, come in. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I keep saying this to everyone that's here this weekend. Don't be shy. We're not scary. I mean, look at Piers. He's so friendly. Let's talk about that race right now. How did you see it? How did you find it yourself personally?
Well, I got a really good start. Got through a couple on the start, luckily, and then started to get in a good groove. But unfortunately, tyres went off a bit quickly for me. Need to see what that was about, and I just dropped off the pace a little bit, but nothing we can't find to go out for the next one, to be fair, so I'm looking forward to the next one now.
You've got a whole evening and a whole day to prepare for another great round of racing. Do you reckon that you can push a little bit further up tomorrow? I mean, you've got those tyres that you can use, I guess. Will you look to use more early?
Yeah, definitely. If I can see myself what I'm doing wrong to make the tyres like go out the window quick enough, then definitely I can think if I can keep that pace, I can be up there. And I think for the reverse grade in the evening, we're starting P2, so obviously best hopes, and hopefully we can keep the pace and go for a good result. Yeah.
Well, just to finish off then, give me a prediction. You're going to be on the podium tomorrow?
Oh yeah, that's the aim. Yeah, that's always the aim.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, Piers. I'm going to bring you back in.
Yep.
In terms of a first race to start us off with GB4 coverage for the weekend, we couldn't really have asked for anything better, because qualifying they were separated by barely anything, and out on the track it was the same.
It was so close. Not a huge amount of changing in the front of the field other than the first lap, but what a first lap it was. Colin Queen getting ahead, Tom Mills straight back on him, and then Cooper Webster thought, sweet, I'm in Quid's in here, and then by the end of Hanger Straight he'd gone down 2 positions, but fighting all the way through the field. We saw some great racing between the VRD drivers, of course with Harry Burgoyne Jr. as well, and also the 2 Fortec cars of Alva and Kulkarni were right together as well. Sets us up nicely for tomorrow, of course. We'll come back tomorrow morning for the second race, and then we've got the reverse grid in the afternoon, which always throws in some surprises.
Surprises galore are on the way then in the GB4 Championship, and much like the drivers here currently at the track, we're going to take our break for the evening, but we will be back tomorrow morning for the second race of this weekend in GB4 action. It's going to be an absolute thriller. Make sure you join us. Goodbye.